Hey, what's going on, guys? Listen, I want to share with you something as an encouragement that I believe God recently shared with me. And I want to put it in the context of a customer, right? I want to ask the question, how big of a customer are you to your calling? How big of a customer are you to your calling? And I want to put it in the framework of, let's say, clinical trials, right? Take a scientist, someone working in a lab. And let's say, for example, they came out with a cure for a disease or some sort of medical solution. Well, it's one thing to have a theory and to have a solution, right? To have a cure in the lab. But it's another thing to promote that cure, to take it to the masses, to share it with the world, and to tell everyone that you know, hey, look, I've got an answer to your problem. I have a solution to the problem that you're dealing with, right? See, if you're a scientist, once you believe that you have a cure, once you believe that you have a solution, you go through many weeks, months, even years of careful testing, careful trials. They call them clinical trials, where they try and they test on many different candidates, many different subjects, to ensure that the cure is potent, that it works, that no matter who takes this cure, it's going to work for them. They want to ensure that the solution is thoroughly tested, that they can stand by their product, that when it's released, when it's put on the shelves of a store or it's promoted as a commercial, that they have a level of confidence that if you were to purchase their product, if you were to use their product, that it's going to work. And so I asked the question, how big of a customer are you of your own calling? If you're anything like me, you may be in a season where you've gotten a vision, a dream, a hope from God, something He's communicated with you, and you are ready to launch out. You are ready to go forward. You are ready to take it to the masses, right? But you feel like you're not being released yet. Things aren't quite lining up quite yet. You might be in that testing period. You might be in that trial period. And I believe that that's what He shared with me. He's saying you have to be the first and you have to be the most convinced customer of your own product, of your own calling. See, I don't want to let you get out there in front of other people. I don't want to let you get out there and take your message, your product, your service. I don't want you to take your calling out to the masses and you're not convinced yourself. See, we have to be the most consistent, the most convinced, the most convicted customer of our product, of our calling. Before we can promote it, before we can push it, before we can sell it to the masses, right? We have to be convinced. We have to be sold, right? You have to sell yourself first, and that takes time. That takes consistency. That takes testing. That takes trials. That takes you being a user of that solution over and over and over. You have to be tested and tried and proved that it works for you. See, I know, right? We don't have a problem with God's word. We normally have a problem with God's timing. I know I've been there, done that, and I'm still there. But I'm encouraged today. I'm encouraged today because I believe that what He's showing me and what He's saying to me and speaking to me is that there is a set time, there is a set season for your calling, for the thing that I've called you to, for the product, for the services, for the things that you're going to take to the world, that you're going to take to the masses. But your product, your service, your calling, your solution, your answer, it must first be tested, put under trial. Just like the scientists, as soon as they get the answer, they don't run out and try to get funding. They don't run out and try to take it to the masses. No. It must be tested over and over and over. It must be tested on different subjects. It must be tested in different conditions. It must be tested in different scenarios. They have to know that they've ran this thing through so many different layers and levels of testing, that if you put it in this circumstance, if you put it in this situation, it's going to get the same results. And I just believe that God is speaking to my heart, and even as I share this message, that He's speaking to your heart. See, your solution, your calling, your product, your service, it is so vital. It's going to touch so many people, right? And the more people it's going to touch, the more widespread your solution is going to be, the more lives it's going to impact, the more testing is required, the more clinical trials are required to make sure not only that it works, but get this, that it works for you. That when you stand on that stage, or when you're on that interview, or when you're before the masses, or when you're put into a situation and you have to show up as an embodiment of that solution, as one who represents it, as the very first and most important brand ambassador, as you have to stand before the firing squad of the critics and the naysayers, when all of that pressure comes upon you to challenge and say that your solution isn't valid, that your service or product, that your calling, that your thing doesn't work and that it's failed, you have to be convinced. You have to be the greatest customer of your calling. And so if you are being tested, if you're being tried in that private place, just know that it is for your good, and it is only for a season. Soon, what is being done in private is going to be brought to the public space, but you're going to be ready then. You're going to be convinced. You're going to be more convicted than you've ever been before. You're going to know that it works, and you're going to be able to stand by your product, and you're going to be able to be put into any situation, any circumstance, with any group of people, and you're going to be able to stand in the mercy and the grace of God, to be able to say with boldness and confidence, believe in this, use this, do it this way, it's going to work. That's what God's encouraged my heart with as I wait for His timing to be released and launched. And I pray that if you find yourself in that same position, in that same place, that you would find this message encouraging.